Welcome everybody to our live stream here on lichess and Twitch. I'm International Master William Paschall. We are going over subscriber games. It's Thinking Thursday. Thoughtful Thursday. Perhaps that's our new name for it. Because chess is for people with brains. So, Mr. Coffee, welcome. You don't have oh, you don't have the tiger one? Yeah. Hyper tiger. Rar. Alright guys, we got a 3-hour stream until 9:30. I have to leave promptly tonight, so I have an appointment. I'm sorry. I have to leave at 9:30. However many games we get in those 2 hours and 55 minutes. Dodgy tactics, I'm not sure if I fit in for a thinking stream. I've been suffering from sleep deprivation. I'm not sure if I fit in either. I've been trying to think today, but it's been a struggle. I've needed a nap all day. Alright, we're going to do our best to muddle through. Tomorrow morning I'm going to be back, hopefully, with Blitz Chess in the morning. Just let everyone know. The schedule is Friday, 11 a.m. CST, Open Blitz Challenges, and then Sunday, Simul at the usual time, 6:30 p.m. like this. Alright, we're going to start off with a crazy game that I played. My opponent submitted from this week's Blitz game from this week's stream. Was it Blitz or Rapid? This was Blitz, right? Blitz Chess, 5+3. Hello, Sean Pinto. Asterbait, thanks for subscribing at Tier 3. Mr. Coffee, thanks for being the greatest moderator of all time. So good here. It was raining all day, and finally we've got the weather breaking and clearing up. Can open the window, some fresh air in. I got your games. I got Ripun, Asterbait, Tezake, Sumaher, Ubadis, Move 11. That one sort of snuck in there on me. Sean and Miki. That's 8. I do a maximum of 10 games every week. We should be able to get them in time. I've let the stream go on a little late sometimes. I really have to leave promptly at 9:30 at the latest tonight. Alright. Let's start with the first game. So this is looking at it from my opponent's perspective. Mr. Coffee, don't be so modest. My opponent's perspective, he plays e4. I've been playing around with classical opening repertoire. e4 with white, e4, e5 with black, and d4, d5 with black. Not my usual thing. I'm very much a hyper-modern opening type of player. And I've been, just for the sake of it, broadening my horizons, really trying to play a lot of offhand games with classical openings. And it's fun. I mean, I've dabbled with classical openings on and off, but never been a regular practitioner. So this is me playing black with e5. My opponent plays knight f3. And this is Weird Wednesday stream. Every Wednesday I try to play unusual lines, I believe. So I played the Latvian with black. I had a book on the Latvian years ago, but I mean, the theory's never been very well mapped out, honestly. And it's never really been considered a sound opening. But it's fun for Blitz. Like, normally the main line is knight takes e5. The idea is that, you know, black cannot take this pawn because of queen h5 check. This is too strong. Queen h5 check, g6, knight takes g6, and black's screwed, basically. He has to lose material. So the main line is queen f6. There's also knight f6, which is newer, and a knight c6. All of the above are probably unsound, and white is just better. But Ripun doesn't know a lot of opening theory. Probably his knight f6 dodgy tactics. Knight f6 is the least well known. That was never considered to be a real variation, but I've noticed that it is number one according to Stockfish. It's logical. For whatever reason, this was always considered to be really bad, but I'm not certain it's worse than other moves. There was one guy coming to the stream who actually was playing this with black. So it's worth looking into. I mean, it just may not be worse than Queen f6 or Knight c6. But anyway, I didn't intend to do like theoretical analysis of the Latvian. That's for another video maybe. What's more interesting is going over this individual game. My opponent here played Knight c3, and at the time, I kind of thought, hey, this is a mistake. I know like pawn takes f5 is played. That's an interesting move. Bishop c4 is a variation. But when you see Knight c3, my first thought is that it doesn't work. Because I'm destroying his center. But it's not so clear. Knight takes e5. I expected this. Threatening queen h5 check, but knight f6 and everything's okay. Well, it looks like it's okay anyway. This looks kind of problematic though. Frankly. Then maybe c6. Does that even work? The Mlatkowski variation, whoever Mlatkowski is there's a US tournament there. Colombian IM Nelson Gamboa against veteran FIDE master Andrew Karklins. Both those guys were good players. Karklins was a player who, often played offbeat stuff. It's surprising that this is the best move, honestly. Really, it's kind of counterintuitive to me. It looks like an undeveloping move. It's so strange that's best. But, white is essentially undermining the e4 pawn in a really strange way, d5, knight takes f6, pawn takes f6, queen h5, we're on that, Knight g4 is a weird way of attacking e4. And I guess there's just no way to save the pawn. Karklins here played knight c6, but that just doesn't do anything. Wow. This guy really knew what he was doing. Bishop c4. And black played insane h5. Knight f6. Gf6. This is insane. Knight takes. If d5, bishop takes d5. Yeah, this is horrible for black. Karklins is just out of his mind. My opponent didn't find this though. He played instead knight takes e4. So black's actually okay here. I spent a long time debating whether to play d5 or knight f6. How much time did I spend on this move? Yeah, I literally spent, on a 5-minute time control, I spent 1 minute and 15 seconds now deciding on my next move. And honestly, black can also play knight c6. There's nothing wrong with knight c6. This transposes to the Schliemann, by the way, after bishop g5. Mickey, thanks for resubscribing. Well, I guess I realize letting him transpose to the Schliemann might be wrong. So I thought I'm good, that he's misplayed it. But it looks like it's not actually bad for white. If... Yeah, I mean, there's only one game. If knight f6, what was I thinking? I'm honestly not sure what I didn't like about knight f6. Not really sure why I rejected this. I mean, takes, queen takes. It's even possible to take with the pawn. It's a lot like the Schliemann. Queen takes, I guess I was afraid of like d4. But even this is playable. Black can keep it closed up. So it's, I don't know, it's a tough call. It looks like there's a problem here. Takes, queen e2 with the idea of d4. Yeah, you didn't miss too much, but I mean, it's hard for black to decide. I guess this is theoretically the best move. Now I expected knight takes e5 or something crazy. If this happened in a game. This is also similar to Latvian. If you put the knight on c6 and the bishop on b5, you have like a freaky variation, a main line of Latvian. Or, I mean, the Schliemann. Queen e7. Also interesting is pawn takes, queen h5 check, g6, knight takes g6, h takes g6, queen takes h8 with crazy complications. But you didn't want to do anything like that. You played this really like safely. Knight g3 Karpov style. And I played the best move. e4. Where is this study? It's a private study. e4. And now I think knight e5 is what we expect. You can support it by d4. So you kept surprising me like every move. I spent all my time and you kept like not playing the move I expected. Now knight d4, you're playing the freaking Alekhine defense with colors reversed. Some kind of insane Alekhine 4 pawns attack reversed. This move totally took me by surprise. I mean, I could play... I've got to watch queen h5. I expected knight e5 when I would play knight f6, guarding against queen h5. So I did the same thing here. And then you played this insane move c4. And you made me lose my mind. I was just like, what is this? This is a very dynamic move. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint that this move is a mistake. If black plays c5, knight somewhere, you know, this is the game. I want to play d4, but I couldn't play it. Or I didn't think I could play it because this was too weak. I wanted to play this variation. I don't mean you don't have any tactics like this because I have queen e7. Something like wouldn't let me play this. In my back of my mind. I didn't like this, I guess d3. And you have a very solid blockade. Computer says that black is fine, but I wasn't sure. Any games by pawn tonight? Not tonight. This was a move I also considered. So what did I play? Knight c6. Almost at random. I spent a ridiculous amount of time, like another 40 seconds on this move, choosing at random. cd5 hitting the center. Queen d5 developing. I thought you played a very creative game. Bishop e2. Solid, though. White stays compact. Like, he still has all this solid position without too many weaknesses. Really, you know, White has no weaknesses. Even though he's only on like 2-3 ranks. Bishop d6, castle. And I guess here I was very concerned about this diagonal. I mean, it looks like a great position for black, who has more space. But I didn't want to get my queen skewered to my king or something like that. So I think both sides have played reasonably here. But I was worried about castles b3 or castles knight e3 and bishop c4. So I went off the principal boat here. I left the principals behind with knight e5. This looks like it was dubious. I could simply castle. You play like b3, I play king h8, and we have a normal game. If you put your bishop here, my queen comes over to g5. It looks like I played knight e5 one move too early. Knight e3. Really tough to decide where to put my queen here. b3, number one move. Very compact structure. The problem was he has 3 minutes and 46 seconds to my 55 seconds. This. And now here the computer is torn between castling either side. Yeah, knight e5 spoiled my position slightly. But I don't think I would call it like you have an advantage. Computer like thought white was better by 2/10 of a pawn, but it's close. It was my only inaccuracy in the opening, major inaccuracy, other than f5 on move 2. But here castling kingside seems safer. And now rook c1, that looked like a good move. Rook d8, good move. I don't know about your next move. I don't like your next move a lot because you're facing pressure on the f file. So I'm not sure what you're supposed to do here. It looks like b4, which becomes a factor later. But this move felt wrong because you're in some danger on the f file. You know, I don't think that you should have done rook e1. I think you played great. Other than that, queen c2 maybe, or b4. Yeah, I mean, this is a natural developing move. I mean, I guess you could always like try to trade pieces too. I mean, this can't be that bad, can it? Like knight c4, bishop c4, bishop c4, and then you can take either with the pawn or with the rook. This has to be okay. You know, I don't think you're a lot worse here. When in doubt and you have less space, you should trade pieces. I don't know who gifted you a sub, Dodgy Tactics. You didn't realize you had a sub. Yeah, you've been a sub all the time this stream, so you must have been gifted earlier. Don't remember. You can probably figure it out. But here's where things got crazy. I didn't know what to do. I guess I should get my queen off the c file. The problem is he's got this b4 type of stuff. So maybe I should just play like queen d7 or something. Get the heck off that line. But instead I just ignored it and played this, playing for the Aster mate. Now he weakens his kingside to stop knight g4, which is interesting. He makes sure I won't use this square, but I don't like these squares. You know, his squares here are a little weak. King h8, another waiting move. Again, I should get the heck off the file here. No, that drops c5. That's a problem. I can't just drop my c5 pawn. I guess we continue with the Aster mate. See, I didn't like this. This is actually pretty strong. Like knight f5, knight f5, knight f5, knight f3 check. King f1, queen h. That's crazy. This is not healthy. Yeah, white has to be very careful or he's getting mated here. I should have played queen d6, it looks like. b6 is safe. What did I do? King h8. So I didn't address the issue, which is the problem. And now you got it. And now I'm like a little worried. The problem was time. I had 30 seconds. I have a decent position, but I have to be careful. And, you know, the simple move is b6. But I thought, no, let's gamble with c4. I figured you might have a tactic here. You can win a pawn. Like bishop e5, grab this pawn. But I guess kind of figured, like, even if I lose this pawn, you know, you're still so bad on the d file that I have compensation. Worst case scenario, I thought I had compensation, and I was about to flag, so I just played c4. And you basically have to, I think you have to win this pawn. You played this. I guess that's not such a bad move. I mean, you're stopping b5. Here, you kind of missed your opportunity to take the pawn on c4. Takes, rook takes, and then I was just going to flag. I have 27 seconds. Decided to play b5, which is kind of random. Oh, no, it was your move. I'm sorry. You played b5. Okay. Here, and now queen c8. Because my c-pawn's hanging. So I played this. King h1 looks bad. I don't know what to suggest for white here. Maybe like eliminating this knight or something. Bishop f6 is best. I mean, that knight could hurt you. Coming to g4, so you trade it off. You played this. This is bad. And then it's rook e1, h3, and king h1. I mean, those three moves that resulted in the weakening of your king side. Now black's probably winning. How do I know I have compensation from the pawn? Well, I feel it, you know. You played chess for 35 years. In my book, the backwardness of this pawn here and the space that black controls compensates. You know, it's a general... I don't know it. I think I do, you know. I don't know it for certain, but intuition. Here, bishop h3. I think that black's probably winning now. I mean, I don't know for sure. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's not enough. So I think you should just remain calm and not take on h3. You have to play rook takes c4 or something. Or alternatively, you know, taking on f6 maybe. But that could be dangerous, frankly. Rook h6 could be dangerous for white. Maybe you're better off not doing that. I guess rook c4. After rook c4, black is only equal, according to the computer. But this looks suicidal. You can't take this. You have to be lost now. And I thought it was like over here, but it's not so simple. That's the problem. I wanted to play this, but I realized at the last minute that he has like rook takes defending here. One of my first ideas was eliminate the defender of h2. So my first idea was to take here, also threatening this. The problem is now he plays like rook takes. What happens if knight g4, going for h2? Bishop g7 check. I can always just play like king g8. This desperado doesn't do anything. You're still getting mated. So you'd have to sack your queen. Because obviously like knight f1, bishop h2 check is not a good sign. But I mean, even just like a take, I guess. That's not going to hold up. So interesting. Rook e3 actually works. Wow, this is a defense. Rook takes e3, what? Knight g4, bishop takes g7 check. Whoa, I can't take it. Holy shit, this works. King takes g7. Knight f5 check. Are you flippin' kidding me? Winning the queen, of course. What a game. This is a great game. Blavix is here. This is a great game. Like, in terms of this variations at the end. I mean, I was looking at this stuff, but I only had less than 30 seconds. And I decided, finally, I'm just going to play bishop takes g3. Now, after takes, did I miss rook takes e3 in this position? What if I play it now, for example? Rook e3, knight g4. This doesn't work at all, right? Because you just simply have like queen e2 or something. So that's not going to cut it now. I have to play capture, king h1. And then we repeated moves once. But I'm sitting there with 8 seconds left. Like, how do I win in this position? I wanted to play for a win, and I played this freaky move now, which wasn't really great. Knight g4. I mean, obviously black has a draw if he wants a draw with perpetual check. Actually, check here, check here. Knight g4. You'd have to sacrifice your queen. So that's not an option. Check, king h1. But how does black play for a win? If I play knight g4, you just take with the queen, right? That's kind of a problem. Minor issue. So I was like, oh shit, what do I do? And I think there was a move here for black. The heck was it? Just check. I know what it was. It was like just check. Like h4 check, king g1. What was the winning move? I have to cheat now. Queen g5 check, king h1. Rook takes e3. This was really hard to find. It looks like I'm winning with some kind of combination of this and this, but I just didn't have time to find it. So it was like either take a draw or find some desperate way to play for a win, and I played this. Knight, rook d5, which is winning, I guess. But a weird position. So I'm threatening mate now with the rook lateral. He plays this, and now I should have played the series of checks again. But I did this, and I saw it too. He has bishop takes g7 check. But the problem was I thought I had king g8. Why did I sack a rook? I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm a move away from threefold repetition. Rook d5 is the best move on the board, according to Stockfish. It was a pretty good move. I didn't see that. Earlier I analyzed the game with my phone, and the phone was too weak to spot this was number one move, actually. Well, I'm not really sacrificing a rook. I mean, I'm winning by force, apparently, but it was too hard to calculate in 8 seconds. My instinct was right, but I underestimated bishop takes g7. I have to check first. Check, check, and then do knight g4. See the difference? My queen is protecting the g7. My queen like magically jumps over the knight and protects g7. Now this does nothing. And white's still lost with the naked king. So I allowed bishop g7 like directly, by playing knight g4. And I thought, okay, it's no big deal. I'll play king g8. But I didn't know what would happen after knight e7 check. I mean, I only looked at this, like king f7. And I literally had no clue what was going on now. The computer says white is better. I thought I had at least a draw of a repetition. But it turns out that I don't. You can do like rook e2. So it was wrong to allow bishop takes g7. But you missed it. You played rook e2 immediately, which loses to a spectacular move. Apparently you have this move. Queen g4, I also missed this. Queen g4, knight e7 check, king f7, rook f1. I mean, king e7, like bishop takes f. He has a bishop and 2 rooks for the queen and 2 pawns or something. It's totally insane. So fortunately, in the critical moment, Ripun misses his last resources, and I found the best move, rook f2. And this is crushing. Rook f2, there is no answer to rook f2. Because knight takes is like smothered mate, and there's like triple control of h2, and he just has one check, so it's over. Queen g1, and then this. And he has to play queen h2. You resign. That was an exciting game. Yeah, I mean, it's normal to get kind of nervous when your opponent's in time pressure. A lot of people are like that. But that was a really fun game. That's why I do the Wednesday weird opening stream and play stuff like the Latvian. You get some interesting games. Okay, second game up is Asterbait. Asterbait, welcome everybody to my stream. If you're not a regular here, I saw Miro around, Tazik. Dodgy Tactics is now a subscriber. We've got 8 or 9 games to go over. I've got the best part of 3 hours. Gonna need it. Asterbait versus Master 2876. I have not seen this game yet. Yeah, Ripun, thanks for an exciting game. That was fun. E4, E5, and the Vienna. I really like the Vienna. Asterbait showed me a game earlier where his opponent played bishop b4, which is unusual. Surprised here to see Stockfish 14. For a second there, it was kicking into bishop b4, but that is not regarded as black's best move. Knight f6 is regarded as black's best move. I said I'm passive, Master? Not normally. You're not. You're normally like, you have this kind of weird trying to get me to overextend myself style, Vicky. I don't normally think of you as a passive, Master. I was just joking about that. Why is knight f6 the best move for black? Anybody? My philosophy toward the game, you know, I think eventually maybe I'll write a chess book with all my secrets, but I think this is probably the best move, besides the fact that it develops. If we want to like look at it philosophically, unlike like this move, you know, I mean, what's the difference between knight c6 and knight f6 ultimately? It's related to playing for d5, maybe dodgy tactics, but I think the point is that we're putting pressure on the enemy's center. You know, that's the bigger answer. What does knight f6 do? You know, that knight c6 doesn't. It attacks the enemy's center. The center is like everything. At least, you know, up until the endgame stage. Knight c6 doesn't upset the status quo, you know? Knight c6 is just it doesn't put any pressure on a pawn or attack anything. It just develops a piece, like, without attacking anything. WJ Loof, we hope you're well too. Great to see you back. Hopefully no more floods have carried you away. But knight f6 attacks the central pawn. It's more dynamic. It puts pressure on the opponent's center. So f4, we've got a classic main line, and now black fails to play the only move. I was talking to Astrobate or somebody like last week. What's interesting about this position is usually in the openings, there are a certain amount of choices you can make. There's more than one like decent move. And what's amazing about this position, and like Dodgy Tactics said, there's only one good move for black in this position. Only one. It's unbelievable, you know? Not that many moves at, not that many openings at like move 3 exist where there's only one decent move. You played 50 games, what? And no one played d5 against you. They're making like routine moves. This is passive. I saw one game where a decent player played bishop b4. Mitkov. 1990. How does that work, master? This guy became a grandmaster, but in 1990, he was only 23, 30. F takes c5, bishop takes c3, d takes c, knight g8, and queen g4, +4 for white. There's like hardly any moves you can play in this position. The most common move is usually either takes or d6. And d6 is, it's like a ultra passive King's Gambit declined. This is bad. Bishop b4 is bad. You might as well freaking play queen e7 or something. That's as good as anything else. I'm just kidding, though. It's probably not good. I was just wondering about a funny line here. Take, 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 take. Like, this doesn't work. You can't play knight e4 because of knight e4, queen e5, queen e2, right? That would refute it. Yeah, there's nothing here. Queen e7 is bad. We just lose control of the center. Black has to play d6 or take on f4. This isn't that bad. Astrobate had a number of games with like e5, knight g8. And I've had a couple games like this against unrated players in anonymous games. Frankly, like the pawn on e5, it's a tiny bit overextended. I don't think like this is worse than the Alyakin's defense. Yeah, e4, e5, knight f3, queen e7 is playable. Ed Formanek played that against Alexander Ivanov once at a tournament where I was at. I couldn't believe it. Like, dude, you have a serious death wish. That didn't go well. Like, even Nesmedinov didn't play that. You gotta have a death wish to play that against a strong grandmaster. It's barely playable for black. Let's see. But this is actually not that bad. This is probably like black's second best line. I think I like this better than like d6, honestly, because this is extremely passive for black. At least if you play this, like takes e5, knight g8, you can play a kind of hyper modern game where you're coming back and you're counterattacking against white's center. This is actually a reasonable variation, to be honest. Okay, so this is really bad. f4, knight c6, no control of the center. Pawn takes pawn, and we have a problem. Best move. And now black is screwed. e5. And now you've got like a worse version of the aforementioned variation. e5, knight g8. But this is bad too. Now black got his knight on f6 kickback, but he also has a bad knight on g6. It's just a worse version of the other variation. Exactly, Dodgy Tactics. Similar to Halloween Gambit, but you're not up a knight. It's the Halloween Gambit without getting a knight. I mean, it's horrible. So white is clearly better. Astrobate improves on the tax game. Knight f3. Obviously, queen h4 check. isn't actually a threat in this position, but I'd rather not allow it. So he plays this. But black is still not lost. Black makes a good move now, d6. I would think d6 would be a good move. Bishop c4. I had game just like this, honestly, already. I had a game, unrated game, anonymously on lichess, where I think the same exact position happened, and I played queen e2. I think I would even consider castling. This really takes it to the next level. Like, full on. Morphe meets, like, the Black Mardeemer or something. This looks really scary for black. You're already threatening, like, bishop takes f7 check. What this old Hungarian game, there was a game in the Opening Explorer. Takes. Wasn't there? Queen e2. This transposes. I don't even know these guys. This game's so old. Carcioni Attila against Naj Kalman. I've lived in Hungary for 15 years, and I mean, this game is so old, I really don't even know who these guys are. They're probably old masters who are dead, sadly. But, what did Asterbate do? Asterbate went nuts. Asterbate, you have a tendency to go back to your beginner instincts sometimes and make moves that violate fundamental, opening principles. He can't resist the, like, two-step knight moves. Attacking f7. But it's very early in the game. It's move 9. And at that early stage, it's almost always right to just keep developing as much as you can. Castles is probably, like, best move. Queen e2 is okay. I don't like trading queens here. No matter what you do, I mean, this is probably, like, the weakest move. You don't want to trade queens. So pretty much anything else. I'm not crazy about bishop g5. That would allow him to, like, trade off pieces. Something like bishop e3 is probably okay, developing a piece. But castles looks the most dynamic. So you play knight g5. The face hugger variation. Now, obviously, you're leaving yourself weaker in the center. You no longer have protection of d4. So black could have played knight h6 and just lived. We put him in cryogenic freezing till they can get the face hugger off and get him back to earth. Keep him alive, basically. This is the face hugger on g5. But black still has a heartbeat after knight h6. Little sci-fi joke. But, seriously, what's the best move in chess? One that attacks and defends at the same time. Knight h6, as sad as it is, it defends f7 and it develops a piece. This move just, like, capitulates. He's just completely capitulated. I was saying to Asterbate today, bad moves become good moves if they go unpunished. And Excel Poker had said something to the same effect. Basically, in any game, that's going to be the case. A bad play that the opponent didn't take advantage of can, like, win the game. He's like, okay, knight g5. Hey, I'll give you my wife's guard bishop on e6. So this isn't even the best move, apparently. This is like a whirlwind. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes. Uber knight. It's a tornado. You gotta watch out for this check. But the nice thing is, even if there's a check, you've got g3 and e4 is covered. So black doesn't really have a follow-up there. You don't have to worry about that. The whirlwind looks good. I mean, even this is better for white. But again, you don't want to trade queens. I would say that's the number one most important thing here. We're down a pawn. You've played Gambit style. You cannot let this guy trade queens unless you seriously cash in. Bishop f5, okay. Yeah, I mean, this is, like, safer. He's going to get hit on the f-file here. Asterbate could sack on f7. Like, this probably even, like, literally Oh no, because now it's like check and you're taking on h4. That's a problem. So you got a castle, but I mean that's obvious. Now black gets a tempo to develop with check, king h1, and he's just about out of the... He's just when it's safe to come out of the water with knight e7. You got one opportunity to kill him on f7. You know, even if he castle, you still have queen h5, which looks pretty scary. So, I don't know about knight e7. He still has knight h6. That's probably a better try. Yeah, he has to defend the bishop, W.J. Loof. He has to defend the bishop. He shouldn't have put it on f5. But d7 would left a little bit better chances. Maybe h6. What's the difference between h6 and e7? I mean, the nice thing about h6 is that it doesn't block my queen a little bit. But I guess either way, Asteroid has knight f7 and d6. This followed by this might be enough. So he goes here, boom. We hit f7. We hit the knight, you know. So that's obviously the advantage of knight h6. Duh. If we play knight h6, d6 doesn't do anything, and we can just castle. I mean, I still think that white has strong attack. Queen h5 looks uber scary. But, you know, maybe white isn't winning, necessarily. No, obviously there's also rook f5. Sacrificing on f7. h6 was better. Here. 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 No, the guy's got a pawn. Well, he can't lose a piece for nothing. You won in 12 moves. We're going to need to get you in a higher division, man. What's up, Nils? WJ Loof, by the way, thanks for donating 100 bits earlier. Is that our first bit donation for this week? Nice. Every little bit counts. I had my first over the board game last Sunday since July, Nils. Also victorious. It felt good to play over the board chess. A little weird. So what if he just takes? You know, does this even work? I said 100 times, if black can trade queens, he's probably okay. So bishop takes f7 is check. Whatever you do, just don't trade queens. Pick a square. This doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. Yeah, I mean, objectively, black is lost here. I'm not sure about the details, but that's still a better try, though. He takes with the pawn. Okay. Maybe he could try to hide his king on d7. I don't know. But, I mean, here he's losing, like, you know, knight f7. So that's why queen takes is better. He's just losing material. Yeah, this isn't going to cut it. Queen h5, check. Oh, I see. Bishop e5. How do we win? Wow. This is elegant. Asterbait is cutting him off from castling queenside. And I'm sure that black's best move is not h6. But objectively, black is, you know, lost here. I have, some reason, got 2 games. I have 8 games thus far, Nils. If you'd like to submit a game, it's not too late. Of course, you will be last. h6 looks weakening. Queen h5 check. g6 takes on h6. This is hanging. He can't castle. Knight f7. Oh boy. But the final move, what do? Like, you win a second exchange? Wow, it's mate. That is sweet. Knight d5, very elegant mate. All the squares are covered here. Nice. Yeah, Astrobate, I mean, played beautifully. No unnecessary pawn moves, classic attacking game. This Vienna is a good opening. It kills. You don't feel like waiting 2 hours for a 12-move game? Alright, man. Nil, send me the game, please. And a $1,000 donation. I'll hook you right up. Alright. You're making the big bucks now. Yeah, who is that dodgy tactics guy? You bought us his backup account. In case you guys were wondering. Did you seriously get gift subbed by someone? Dodgy tactics? Or did you sub yourself? Ha ha. I make up for my subscribers and viewers in quality over quantity. So, Astrobate, great game. Replay, exciting game. This is Tezek playing black. E4, C5, knight F3, E6, knight C3, A6. We had a Closed Sicilian. Same line, but white here now plays A3. This is literally the most random move I've ever seen. It's a strange moment to play. Oh, Mr. Slow gifted you. Was it like a random gift, or he gifted you personally? A3, I mean, normally you would play it to give your bishop like a retreat square back to A2. Or possibly a wing Gambit style thing. Other than that, it doesn't have a lot of independent value. B5. You know, okay, A3 is a move. Like, if we transpose to the open, takes, for example. See, there are games with A3. But let's go back for a second here. Imagine it's a normal, like, Closed Sicilian. D4, takes, knight takes, B5. How many people played A3 in this position? 112 out of 3,458. Of course it's B4 phobia. There are people who do that in every position. But, you know, it's a subtle part of the game. The best move is bishop d3. If b4, I mean, there's this square. You know, that's kind of funny. That's a funny thing here. Like, b4 is known to not be the right move for black, but here it was played in 2 games and white didn't win either. Both of them being good players, too. That's really funny. How bad is b4? It's actually playable. You know, a position is tricky when you literally have 2 masters who play 2 different moves in the same position. You have Ante Burkic, who plays knight a4, and then the guy from Costa Rica, Leonardo Tristan, who's 2400, playing, like, I think he's from Costa Rica, knight e2. I mean, that's funny. You know, it's not obvious what the move is. But it's funny that b4 isn't really a bad move. Everyone assumes it's a bad move, but it may not be that bad. Might be good as a surprise weapon. All right. Anyway, we have a6, a3. I kind of like the idea of him playing like for a wing Gambit here. Honestly. I mean, you're going to drop b5. So you have to play bishop b7 first. Rook b1. I guess this isn't correct, though. I mean, it's just no way to defend that pawn. But it's hard to justify a3. Okay, d4 probably. You've also got to calculate this. Now knight a4 is stronger because of c5. I guess. It's still kind of weird. You know, I'm not sure everybody would play b5 right away either. You don't have to play that. I mean, d5 is an interesting move because a6 comes in handy here. It's not the Marshall defense or something stupid. You've played a6, stopping all of his crap with like bishop e5. So this type of position, like take d4, I'm not sure this is so bad for you. He's played the slow a3. He doesn't have bishop e5. No, I think this is playable. If you like d5. He just plays bishop e2. Now he has to worry about his pawn. I mean, I know that they can sack this pawn in the closed Sicilian. This is basically a closed Sicilian, right? So he castles. You got to think about taking this pawn. Amazing this happened in 2 games. You have to seriously consider taking that pawn. It is a central pawn. This guy in 2005 against Masha Klinova went for the pawn. The danger is this, and welcome to the jungle. You have no development. White blasted open. It's like a closed Sicilian. By the way, Tezek, how do you play against closed Sicilian? If white plays like knight c3, yeah, d5 can end up isolated in that type of position we were looking at. That's normal, but it's playable. Don't be afraid of isolated central pawn. It's a normal structure. This is an interesting game, you know. Why is knight e2 not a popular move against Sicilian? I remember looking at like knight e2, knight f6. It's more popular on move 3. Soltis used to play it all the time. The so-called... Well, there was a book, but I mean like the Chameleon, Sicilian, or whatever. You play like closed with a6, probably. Yeah, you got to be careful not to fall too far behind in development here. But I think you should seriously consider this option. Alright, you play just quietly. Now white plays d4 and we transpose to an open. Queen takes is playable. Funny that that was played in that game. I got a game submitted from Nils. Alright. Open in new window. Game number 3. My computer is slowing down. Alright, Nils. Very slow. You got your own personal study. We have to go to Nils's private study to look at that one. Alright, it'll be easy to remember since this game is last. Did I just close the window? Alright, seriously? You know, so okay, queen takes d4. The thing is, like, if you put your knight on c6, you gain a tempo, right? But your knight, you know, it's a classic conundrum. The problem with the Khan Sicilian type of structure and the Moro with b5 and all these different setups like this, your knight is in the freaking way of your bishop on b7. So at the end of the day, it's not clear if it's actually worth it winning that tempo. If queen takes d4, is it really better to go knight c6, or is it better to play a kind of hedgehog, you know, with like d6, knight d7, rook c8, where you keep the diagonal open for your bishop on b7? It's really not easy. You know, I mean, it's a matter of taste, I think. But anyway, his opponent played this. So you see there are some games here. No big names. Johan Hjartarson played in 1997 Black's position. Oh, Yefim Geller. That's not Yefim Geller, sorry. That's the other Geller. Okay, Yefim Geller was kind of dead in 2014. Anyways, I got excited. I thought it was like a Geller game from the 80s or 70s or something. Knight takes d4, knight f6, bishop f3, ugly. Belozerov. That was my Russian professor's name. Who, thanks to God, my senior year in college passed me, even though I could barely function as a Russian student. Professor Belozerov. I played this guy here on lichess. I think a blitz game or rapid, and I felt his strength, but I held. Knight c6. You don't know anything about Yefim. Yefim, he was a great King's Indian expert, theoretician. He had a very good score against Fischer, famous for that. One of the best personal scores against Fischer. Alright, this bishop is, it is what it is. It's not pretty. Knight c6, knight c6. Here's an interesting, dilemma. It's ugly, but the safest move is d takes. Because even though your bishop is blocked, you're certainly never going to have to worry about knight d5. I know this is played a lot by some of the Closed Sicilian experts in similar structures. Mitzis Normand, for example, Latvian grandmaster who I know, plays the Khan a lot, and Taimanov. You would often take back with the b pawn and then play e5. I know it looks funny with the bishop on b7, but I mean, it could come back. You could also play c5 later on. So this is an interesting move for you to really take to deeper consideration, Tezek. Bishop takes, I think, is the more natural move, but you have a huge vulnerability to this knight d5 sack. White can play it right away. Like any kind of Smith-Morrow player is going to play this almost instantaneously. It's stronger if he has like a rook or queen on e2, rook in e1. But that's really not my main reason. I mean, of course the idea is take with the pawn to defend the d5 square. But black's pretty solid here, and you're going to play e5. So the pawn covers d5, allowing you to go with a different structure, pushing the pawn to e5. Which, whatever, say white plays like rook e1, e5. Now this bishop is really ugly. I mean, your bishop is blocked too. But, I mean, for your bad bishop, he has a bad bishop as well. It's kind of funny. We're both locked. This is the weak of the white square bishops. We're both locked behind our own white square pawn chains. But your other bishop is really good now, getting out to c5 if possible. Alright, so you played bishop takes. He plays this horrible move. You see here, somebody played queen e2, setting up knight d5. I mean, okay, it's a move, b4. I don't like that this is loose. He wants to put his bishop on b2. Not crazy about white's position. This is strong. I like this a lot. And that's not the fact that it drops a pawn. It just weakens white's dark squares. I'm not even offended by this, but honestly, the whole complex of dark squares being weak, g4 is going to drop white's position completely. It's a disaster. So you have to play g3, I guess. Does bishop d6 block my d-pawn here? It's not a problem. It's a problem if your bishop's on c8. You could absolutely play bishop e7, but it's more passive. I think this is the perfect position for bishop d6. Because not only do you have this, you have the Snake Benoni style stuff here with bishop e5 too. You're actually threatening to win a piece, in some positions. b4 was an awful move by white. So he wanted to stop bishop c5, but he creates other problems. But this is horrible. Yeah, I would take the pawn. Now you have to decide. I mean, he should obviously go to G2 so he can try to use the H file. But you have to decide what to do here. I don't really like him playing G5. So one solution might be to just play H6. Just wait, chill out for a second. Calmly play H6 and then decide where to go later. Maybe on the next move or whatever. There's nothing, really urgent right now. I don't really like him pushing G5. We can't allow our knight to get kicked. So in the game, what you did this, he could have played G5. What are we going to do now? That looks like a serious problem. If our knight gets kicked, it's going to have to go to the G8. It's going to take us forever. And I'm really, really worried about this, like knight D5 style stuff. Again. Like, you could be in a very massive danger. So H6 is good. This is okay too. But again, you're going to need to play H6 in the next couple moves. I mean, actually here you can play bishop C3. This is another forced win, right? Maybe knight E4. It's not a forced win. But it looks good. Bishop takes. I don't think that white is okay here. You can always castle queenside and rip him open on the king side. See, that's the advantage of not having your king committed. Bishop F4 allows G5, so he missed it. That's a big problem. Bishop F4, Queen F4, and you're winning. It's over for me. It's over. You're threatening H5, but I don't know. I mean, I think maybe you should stay here. I would stay on C6 because you're on the diagonal. And it's also centralized. It defends D7, keeps an eye on that. This looks like a better place to be. I mean, even E5 is... But I think this looks... Queen G6 is a bit strange. If you play H5, he can close it up. So obviously white can't trade queens down material. Normally, I would not play that move. He should do some queen d4. It's a mistake. Trading is fine. And now, king e7 seems like best. The problem is, I don't know about a4. If you play king e7, a4, you could use your other rook, something like rook b8 or rook c8. Now he has unopposed a file in the game after rook c8, a4. He might actually be alright here. He's lost anyway. Okay. It's that bad. He's lost anyway. See, this is huge, man. You gotta remember to use your king in the endgame. You gotta play with your king in the endgame. The king is the #1 piece. We want to get it into the center, not over... There's no reason to castle in an endgame with 2 rooks on the board. This is a very bad move. Decentralizing your own king. That's a horrible move. This is winning. Now it's over. He had like a very small... now you're going to have to go here, 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 and it's going to cost you an extra move. A4, but it's... Another thing is you get back rank mated, thanks to castling. I would still play king f8. H6, put your king on h7, rather than e7. And you're winning, anyway, you're up 3 pawns. This is good. And that's good. And that's okay. And it's just technique. Yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy about the 3 isolated pawns. I would rather keep the pawns together. If it's like just 2 pawns, you're going to struggle to win this. 3's a little over the top. 3's pretty hard to deal with. So that's it. Nice game. And I don't think there's any explanation needed here. All right, man. Thanks for sharing. There's a lot to take away from that. Sumair is up next. Nils tipped us $5. All right. It's not 1,000, but I think it's enough. You thought the same thing, what? You gave up those big bucks. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm on top of it, man. We've always got room for the bribes. My internet's a little funky. Ping 62, server 0.2. I don't know why that study won't load very quickly. Yeah, we'll go to the Nils study. Pay to play VIP. This is game 3. Google Chrome is really slow. This is Nils's over-the-board game with the white pieces. Tezek, just please centralize your king first priority in all endgames where there's no queens on the board. Or more than, more than one heavy piece. Less than 2 heavy pieces. There are situations where 2 rooks can be dodgy, but that wasn't it. Yeah, Nils is big on d4. Black plays e6, allowing a French. We don't want the French. And then he plays the English defense, which is an old friend of mine. Popular since the 80s. So, there are different approaches. If you want to be, principled, I guess, e4 is the sharpest move. But it's also the most dangerous. Very popular is a3. The Petrosian-esque style approach here. Okay, I guess you can't play a3 unless you know what you're doing, theoretically. After knight f6, knight c3, this is no Queen's Indian, but after knight c3, bishop b7, d5, it's a weird sort of accelerated Queen's Indian English defense. Yeah, I mean a3 here. I think this is more justified though. In the Queen Pawn games, in the Queen's Indian, lines where you're shutting this bishop off of b4, I like this a3 a lot better than what we saw in that Sicilian last game. I think this is more justified. Definitely, it's not for everybody. Nils's approach is much more, classical. Alyakin wouldn't have played a3, That's the modern move. e4, very classical. Bishop b7. Now there's different variations. I guess bishop d3 is main line. I lost to Alexander Ivanov once with white, actually, in this line. Bishop d3, knight c6. I mean, I've played both sides of these lines. So this is more popular than knight c3 as Nils played. But the best line for black is regarded to be this. This might be a line by some people. Bishop b4 check, like a BOGO. And then f5. E takes f5. What is the deal with this? f5. Check, freeing up the king to go to f8. King f1. And then knight f6. Yeah, I don't know where the theory stands. I mean, this was groundbreaking in like 1997, Like this was seriously cutting edge over 20 years ago. But now, I mean, I don't know where it stands. f5 is the sharpest move. This is pretty solid. You grab the bishop pair. You go for knight b4. I've played this for both colors. Knight e2 is considered more accurate than knight f3 because it doesn't block your f pawn. Yeah, and I don't know as much about this variation. But Nils played knight c3. So this is like totally a main variation. Bishop e4. And I haven't had a game in this line since like 2004 with black. My last game was with Yuri Lapshin. We had a draw. But Nils played a move I've never seen before here. Usually white plays bishop to e3. And I've played also white in this line. Usually bishop d3, f5. Once I lost to Sebe, the only game I ever lost to Attila in a slow game, I think I played like queen e2 or something. But you can't play pawn takes f5 here because it just loses. The bishop takes g2. It's funny, you see there's like people who allowed this. Miles had a game like this where he just like put his king on f8 and it's like, what is white doing? White just like losing his pieces. That's kind of funny. As long as the black king can go to f8, white's lost. That's why bishop e4 is an important move. This actually is a good variation for black, I think. This is the biggest problem with your move order, Nils. That you don't have a great move here. This is why knight c3 is out of fashion. Mr. Slow played this against me a couple of games, but I don't think it's supposed to be dangerous. So f5, yeah, you should switch if you ever play this position again, and probably go with bishop d3. I don't know about f3. I've never really looked at that. Might transpose. f3, check. Yeah, this is just weird. Alright. Knight c3, bishop e4, queen g4. So that move is totally new. I have never played this for either side. I would assume that black has primary option knight f6, secondary option maybe some kind of weird queen f6 move. No, it's cool though. I mean, you came up with an aggressive try. The first thing you've got to calculate is this, like in the French. We trade our g7 pawn like in a winnower for the e4. So what's happening here? And can black get like active play with the rook? Queen g7, rook g8, queen h6, only move. What's going on? Black lost the one game where this was played. Computer is calling it equal. So this is downright interesting. And that's like best line. According to the computer, knight f6 is forced. The engine's actually calling this like a forced variation. Knight takes e4. Obviously queen h7 is crazy. And then black is better according to the engine with rook f8. I wouldn't be able to say that. You know, I would have no freaking clue what's going on here. I don't know if white's better, black's better, it's equal. How do you make a conclusion? How can you make a conclusion about this position? It's just too unclear and too imbalanced to draw a conclusion. White is up a pawn, black has some tricky ideas. I don't know. But I don't know what your opponent did here. Yeah, okay, so he went into this. But this seems to be really interesting now. Black has 3 different moves. Rook g6. This guy, Bogdanovich, lost playing that. For black to decide which move to play, this, rook g6, or bishop takes e4, I don't know, man. I would spend like 10 minutes on this position if I were your opponent. I mean, he's got to think. really. You know, knight to c4 is the most natural, but then he loses h7. Bishop takes h7. It defends h7, but it doesn't pressure c3, and you also have to worry about bishop g5. I assume if bishop g5, you have rook g6. You also have bishop e7 if you have to. So you played bishop g5, but I'm a little skeptical. I mean, it does develop a piece, theoretically. What I'm concerned about is the rest of your pieces. And the bigger problem here for white is, like, where the hell are you putting your king? You know? Are you going to castle queenside like a nutcase? Seriously? Castling queenside? That's a very dangerous prospect. On the other hand, like, you know, he's got a rook on the g file, so kingside's not going to be so safe either. I have no idea what I would do. I mean, bishop g5 is nice because it's a forcing move. f3 attacks his bishop. Doesn't look that great, though. And then there's this. You know, honestly, maybe this looks like... To me, this looks kind of like the safest move, because we support c3, and I like this a lot. Putting the knight on g3 to block his rook. That knight on g3 is going to shut him down on the g file. So, I mean, I have no idea what black would do. Let's just say like knight c6 or something. I mean, it's unclear. I really don't know who's better here. So you played this new move for your opponent. Bishop g5, bishop c3 check. That's not... I do not understand bishop c3 check. I guess he was afraid you're going to castle. Why? You know, people hate tension. But I cannot understand. Maybe he's afraid of 92. But he definitely should not play this move unprovoked without a good reason. You never want to release tension without a good reason. You know, it only gives the opponent ways to go wrong. I don't like him playing this move without provocation. Bishop takes c3 check. Rook g6. Only move. And now he's facing bishop takes f6, so he has to retreat. But honestly, he's pinned in this brutal way here. I mean, I'm not loving this. And he can't play h6. Well, actually, he can. He probably should. Next move, if possible. But you have bishop d3. Does that even work? Rook takes g5. Wow. So it all falls apart. He can't do like bishop f5. He could play d5. What happens here? Like, where's he going to go? c2? Yeah, I mean, this is where I don't like it, okay? Bishop takes c3. Honestly, he could play, like, let's see. Well, bishop e7 loses a piece. So rook g6 is forced. Rook g6, queen h4. Bishop here. So if we switch the order of moves, you still have bishop d3. But let's say like he goes here. You take his rook. He's screwed here too. He has to do something like d5. Where did he go wrong? He should have played knight e4 and not got in the pin in the first place. But I mean, okay. Here, bishop g5. What is black missing? Rook g6, queen h4. White's just better. I mean, this is what I'm afraid of. Like, bishop f5, f3, threatening g4. What is he going to do? Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble here already. Okay, so he missed a freaky move. I still like your knight e2 idea, but you know, this is interesting. So he missed knight g4. That's a hard move to find. Takes, 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 and your structure gets smashed. I'm not thrilled about the structure getting smashed. Bishop g2, rook g2, and his rook gets trapped on g2. He's lost there too. That's not good. Yeah, I guess so. The whole thing sort of sucks. What am I missing here? Knight h6, bishop c7, so he can't take this. Something like knight f5? He has to play knight f5. Rook g2, okay. Or knight f5. The classic rook g2. Alright. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, your opponent wasn't tactically strong enough to find that, man. You know, even like IMs aren't going to find that every time. National Masters are going to miss knight g4 and stuff. This was a tough position. Yeah, this is bad. He walks right into it. And now he's just lost. That's pretty sweet. Resigns, game over. I feel like that when I do e4 and in mind give hand you resigning. Bishop d3 h6, he still has a move here? What? You're kidding me. Wow. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. Check. Here. Here. Queen f8. Queen f8, king f8. And then this. Uh-oh. Alright. Alright. So we have to move the bishop. It's alright. Don't panic. So what's the best move? Like bishop takes h6? How much material are we losing? It could get very complicated with this bishop getting like trapped on h1 or something. Bishop h6. He can still play rook takes. Yeah, this is crazy. Wow. Bishop g6. hg5. Queen h8 check isn't great. So you got to do this. Defending g2. And the computer says it's a draw. So perpetual. Check here, check. King f8. Or king e7. Walking out to d6. I wouldn't want to risk that. But it's playable. Like, seriously, if black has to play for a win, like Mamedyarov or somebody, if a 2700 had to play Nils and they got this position, this is where you take out the dice and you just roll them, you know? I mean, you got to try to play king d6 against the 1700 to play for a win. But you don't want to do that, you know? I mean, this is not something I would do. I would give the 1700 a draw rather than put my king on d6. The computer says it's like slightly better for white. I am not playing that. I mean, that's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it's another move that's extremely hard for your opponent to find. h6. He was just missing every forced move, but they were hard moves. So the game, he just simply went down in flames. This loses a piece. Interesting opening. You know, I think conclusion is that your move isn't bad. That's absolutely not worse than any other move in this line. Knight c3 is out of fashion, and white Can't get an edge. What am I saying? No, f3 is best. Okay, we didn't talk about f3. I completely left this out. This is your best move. Now, f3 is the main line. F3, f5. You don't have to play f5. No, you should play f3. You have to play f3. So black has different moves here. I never tried queen h4. Knight e7 is passive. I always play f5. And I don't know, this line, I've seen it occasionally. Recently. This was my game with Lapshin. He played like bishop takes h6, but that sucks. You gotta play pawn takes e6, knight f5, bishop f4, and that's supposed to be the best line. This is your best line in this variation. The other option is to play bishop d3 on move 4, but there you've got to allow like knight c6. All right, so that's it. 12 move win. Congratulations to Nils. We've got an hour and a half left for today. Again, if you do play this line, knight e2, not knight f3, because you want to, after knight b4, you want to have this f pawn available after like knight takes e3, queen d3. You want this f pawn to be able to move if necessary. Knight f3 is inaccurate. All right, out of the Nils study and back to where we were. Learn, study. No, all the games have been interesting so far today. Theoretically interesting, too. I never saw queen g4. I've never seen that move played. Alright. My studies. Hello. Alright, here. Yeah, you'll get a bribe discount. After one more year of completely interesting games, you want to pay bribes. Admit it. Alright. You could just wait in line or submit it earlier like everyone else. You don't have to bribe me. You just like send it in on time. It's really not that difficult. Just try sending it in on time. Alright, so yeah, you get 7 after 7. You're an Eastern European. You're Mexican. You're more like Mediterranean. Mañana. E4, E5, knight F3. We're in the wrong game. Yes, we already saw this one. Alright, Sumaher. Sumaher versus Red Bear. D4, knight F6, C4, G6, knight C3. King's Indian. And then H3. This is his favorite line. Tazek has on news, FIDE picks breast implants as a sponsor for women's chess. Yeah, that sounds like something from The Onion. I'm not going to comment on that. Man, why not headscarves? I'm surprised. You know, what are the headscarves that women have to wear called? I'm surprised FIDE isn't getting like an ad for those. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Whatever, man. Hijab advertisements. They can play them on Fox News. FIDE is ridiculous, man. I do not support that organization. It's not my fault they have a monopoly on chess. Castles. Bishop e3. Okay, so this is the Makagana variation. Black castles. There are 3 ways where I can play this. Bishop g5, bishop e3, and knight f3, keeping his powder dry, not declaring where the bishop's going to go. Bishop e3. I mean, I guess this move has the advantage of hitting c5. But it doesn't matter. If you take on c5, we play queen a5. So you're not planning on taking on c5. You're going to play... I would assume white would play like a Benoni. I'm a little surprised here. You know, this is something interesting to me. Because if white plays knight f3, now we have a Marazzi where the early h3 has been played. That's quite interesting. I wonder if that's how the h3 variation got invented. Knight c6, bishop e2, bishop d7, castles, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop c6, and now they're playing queen c2. You know, so what occurred to me now, this is interesting. I was wondering why I'm seeing this h3 queen c2 variation sometimes when German IM played it against me last year in a live or in a online tournament. This is actually a Makaganov King's Indian. I had never thought about that. I have other variations like the Samish that could transpose to the King's Indian, or the Samish could transpose to the Marazzi. But this is interesting. This is probably how this came to exist, not from a Marazzi, but from a transposition of moves. c5 against the Makaganov, and now white doesn't play d5. d5, I would think, would be the main move, transposing to a Benoni. And this is mainline Benoni, or a main line of Benoni. Quite interesting. Not that it matters, but I mean, it's kind of interesting to understand how that came to be. It had never occurred to me. It could be a King's Indian. It's strange how the King's Indian transposes to the accelerated dragon. I had a game like that. In the 4 pawns attack, it's possible too. So there's 3 different variations that can transpose from King's Indian to accelerated dragon, strangely. d5, c5. This is more unusual. So black plays e5, standard variation. I don't like it. d5, and now you have to do... I don't know what to do. Look at the score. It's ridiculous. Look at the statistics here. 481 games. White has 46. Is that 46% wins to 21? Find me another major opening where white's like winning percentage is more than double white's. Can you guys? Can anybody here find me another major opening variation where white's winning percentage is more than double black's winning percentage? Because I challenge you to find an established mainline opening where that's the case. People ask me all the time, like, well, what's the best way to play against the King's Indian? Well, statistically, here's your answer, you know. 46% for white, 21% for black. That's like, you'd see that like in the Latvian Gambit or something. I mean, black's score is atrocious in this position. And I can attest from my personal experience, I've lost like, you know, almost every game. Most recently, I lost to Galyash Miklos, but okay, it wasn't this position. A couple years ago, I lost to black. I played something a little different. But in any case, I think that black, if you go c5, well, the results are only slightly better. Now it's 44-22. It's still massively in white's favor. That's insane. So h3 is almost like a refutation of the King's Indian, statistically, here. Another good move is knight a6, though. We can also play knight a6. Well, move, anyway. I don't know if it's good. That can transpose to other lines. So after e5, d5, I don't know. a5, knight a6, knight h5. Actually, knight h5 here. g3, right? This is really bad. Because the knight can be just denied f4. But I'm surprised how few games are actually played. It doesn't seem all that much worse than anything else. No, black's got serious problems in this variation. I just don't like e5. I think we've got to play either c5 or like Dlugi played against me, c6, a6, b5. You can do that. A sort of Dlugi, Andy Soltis style approach. Still, the Benoni's better than that e5. And then what else can we try? Knight a6 is also not that bad. Can black play knight c6? This is apparently a move. It has a bad score. So anyway, good variation. e5, d5, and then I've never seen anyone play this. So this is it's a move. But basically, you're just transposing to the check Benoni. It's a check Benoni with the bishop on g7. And black's committed to castling on the king side. I think you should just play g4 right away. But ultimately, you know, you'll probably end up putting the bishop on d3. If bishop d3 is knight h5, a problem. There's a really funny line here. Bishop e2, knight f4. Check this out. Two good players with black. Razuvayev and Arthur Frolov. Knight f4, bishop f3. Threatening g3. This is just good for white. It looks like. The white didn't win either game. It's interesting. Let's check this f5 game. f5, g3. This is a 2019 game. I actually played Frolov last year. Black side of a Petrov. Wow. So he played, check this out, he played g5. But the computer says that he should just play knight d7. This is insane. What an awesome position. White, I mean, black's just like sacking a piece. gf4, ef4. Bishop d2. Knight e5 with compensation for material. Yeah. Dude, that's serious problem. That is a nice piece sacrifice. Frolov didn't like that. And he did g5. It's not as good. White took the piece. It looks like this is like very dubious for black. He doesn't have enough compensation in this version. Alright. Anyway. I think you should just go g4 right away, dude. Black is smoked in these positions. It's very bad for black. And now g4. And it's over. It's basically over. It's just check Benoni is awful for black. And now a horrible move by black, h6. You can't play h6, you can't play f5. I guess he should try bishop f6 here, no? It's actually too late, because you just play knight f3 and you stop bishop g5. Black has no way to make this work. You get the Asterbait-like thing. Arsenal fan did something like this against me. But black's position is dubious. +3. Asterbait, how many times did you play, like, you know, f5 and the check Benoni against me? You lose this square. You've got weak white squares. White castle's queenside. It's terrible for black. Black is basically lost. Alright. h6, an awful move by black. weakening his kingside with really no purpose. Yeah, okay, now white plays f3. I don't really get that. Why are you playing f3? Looks like you're just defending g4 so you can play h4. But I guess the point is like this. You can always meet that with knight f3. The question is, should white castle and commit to castling queenside, or should white wait and try to do something else? See, his dilemma is that if he plays something like knight f3, how does he play h4 without dropping the g4 pawn? Where did everybody go? It seems like everyone disappeared. They start leaving when we go over their games. Be polite and wait for everyone's game to be done. Guys, blitz tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Grivas played h4. That's interesting too. Alright, h6, terrible move. Queen e2, king h7, f3. I'm a little bit concerned about the dark squares. Dude should play bishop f6 anyway, right? Maybe sack a pawn. Oh no, this works. Oh no. Does h4 work? Dude, if bishop g5 happens, it's all over. White no longer has an advantage. He's got a spatial wedge that should be good enough for a draw, maybe. This is a huge problem, and if you're banking on bishop takes, it doesn't work because of bishop check, king moves, and g5, game over. No, the rook's hanging. Oh snap, this is hanging. Okay, maybe it's good then. You need that tempo. King f1. Check. But anyway, I mean, black could play this as a pawn sacrifice. Rook moves. I mean, at least you stop the h-pawn from moving. And you're threatening g5. So probably white would play this. And then something like king g7. I'd rather be a pawn down with a solid lock on h4 than in the position that black was in previously. This actually looks really, really tough to penetrate. Black has a pretty solid chance here. So this bishop f6 is a heads-up move. Is there some flaw I didn't see? What's the deal? Bishop h6, bishop h4 check. The Korchnoi asks, okay, king d1, going to c2. Why is this so bad? Rook h8, bishop e3, king g7. And the computer claims that white's still +4. Wow. Because of f4. The idea of knight f3. So takes, bishop takes f4. This square, the dark squares in general. Well, I'm not a computer, you know, and most people wouldn't evaluate this as +4. +1, maybe +2 for white. But it looks like it's better than we thought. g5, black runs out of squares for the bishop. We're going to play knight f3, and black's in trouble. Anyway, it was a KG try, it doesn't work. So white's just better. f3 here, a4. a4 is not forced. It's not forced for white. But I understand a4. The risk that you're running is that the whole board gets locked. There's a chance the entire board gets locked and there's no breaks. In which case it's a draw. Now, if black plays like a5 or something, what are we going to do? Just hypothetically. You can allow b5. I don't think that the Benko's a threat here. On b5, maybe we don't take it. My problem would be like knight d7, knight b6. I've seen some really cool games where we play the white side of check Benoni, and when black takes this, you don't take. You just like go here. And then knight d7. Okay, you start attacking. Knight b6. Whatever. Black has no way to get in. What is black going to do? He's sitting there like an idiot with the pawn on c4 while you're attacking him on the king side. This is a very cool strategic pawn sacrifice. He's like blocking his own attack. His knight can't go to c4. It's going to take black a lot of time, but maybe he eventually gets something going. But even here, for example, knight c7, let's say, breaking it open is hard to do. That sounds like a cheesy 80s song. I'm not going to continue with that. But cheesy 80s chess songs, breaking up is hard to do. Breaking the position open is hard to do. What I was going to say was, let's say we go like here, knight c7, and you might even play a4 to physically stop black from putting his knight there. And black would have to take like incredibly long-winded maneuvers. Queen d7, rook g1, queen e8, rook g1, bishop d7, queen d1. And it's all guarded. a4 is guarded. You can't access on c4. You have no pieces. Your knight's blocking the b file. How is black getting through? Ubatis, you might find knight b5. This reminds me of your game from today. You see something like this, for example. That's probably kind of interesting. Black could sack a piece for the ultimate pawn amoeba coming down, But anyway, this is just some kind of like check Benoni ideas that I wanted to throw out there. Sumer played a4. But now, okay, it's going to be harder to castle queenside. You committed. Yeah, I don't like this. This is a fast game. Not worthy of like an hour of analysis. But I guess his last move is an inaccuracy. Simple, h4. No question. This is bad. Check, here, and now he's like, trading queens is okay for black. Most of the danger is past now. I think that, white isn't much better. I mean, Sumehara is much more dangerous with the queens on the board, playing for like a kingside attack. Here with no queen, it's going to be impossible to checkmate. This is a blunder. I mean, g5 has to be a blunder. Turning his bishop into a literal pawn, but I mean, it can still get back. We can still get it out to a5. But I don't see why black wants to play this move. Because he's giving white a huge f5 and h5 hole to access. This is just a very dubious decision. Putting his faith in locking the whole position. That's an atrocious move. The worst move of the game. We won't talk about knight b6. Yeah, it still doesn't look like we can make progress. It's a draw, probably. He let him in on e7. And now white's starting rook e8. Followed by knight f6, I guess. You had to sack the exchange. And then an insane desperation. Another sacrifice out of insane desperation. This wasn't good. Black does not have to take that pawn. Black should be very happy that he's even alive here. He does not need to take another pawn. Check. Greed got him in the end, so that's not a good thing. Do not need to take that pawn. White is not winning here. Maybe he has a draw at best by locking the board, but there's no way white is winning. But after this, I think black's in trouble. That's not going to make it better. He has to lose a piece, I guess, with king f7. Check. King here takes. And it's ugly, but maybe black can survive. Down 2 pieces for a rook. You know, there's still hope. But f5 definitely doesn't look good. You could take on d7. This was just a fast game with a funny mate. Knight f4. Alright. It wasn't really a serious game, but there was a lot of serious ideas in the background. You know, the idea of the opening. Alright guys, I gotta move faster. We have an hour left before I have to go. I've got Yabatis. Yabatis move 11. Okay, we've got enough time. Yabatis move 11, Sean, and Scared Knight. Secret Knight. No, Mickey. It's Mickey's game. 4 games, 1 hour, plenty of time. We will be back tomorrow morning. Blitz with open challenges at 11 a.m. Something weird with my Twitch. WJ Loof is weekly top cheerer with 100 bits. We're breaking all the records. Thanks to WJ Loof. WJL-OO-oof. WJL-oof. Alright. WJL-oof. The first rule of Chess Club. Stay silent. Asterbait cannot stay silent. He's our quote bot. Alright, so this is Sauron versus Yabatis. E45, beautiful move. Classical chess in its finest. We're going to see some classical chess in its finest here. After E4, E5. Everybody's favorite opening, the Elephant Gambit with D5. Gotta love it. Very classical. Basically, it's the center attack in reverse. William Joseph Loof. I thought your initials were WJL, and it was just like, oof. Like this. See? Wait. WJ oof. WJL oof. Oof. Seriously. I had that made up for this occasion. D5, knight takes E5. So I faced the same variation playing this for fun the other day. But it seems like the main move is actually pawn takes D5. Pawn takes E5. Pawn takes D5 feels like the most dynamic try. But this is also a good move for white. So either capture is okay. The Elephant Gambit is basically incorrect, but it's not that easy. You know, a few decent players have played this opening. Usually in Blitz and faster time controls. Mark Hebden, Skachkov. Here's an Andrew Breet game. Knight takes E5, Bishop D6. Recently I played a training Blitz game against a student of mine and they made fun of my opening. They thought I was trolling them by playing the Elephant Gambit. It's not that bad, you know. D4. Pawn takes E4. So here I faced Knight C4 the other day. The positional idea to take out the bishop on D6. It's a little like the Latvian Gambit. The other thing is that I can kick back to here. But I think the problem with the position is, ultimately, the problem here is that it's not a space advantage. Black is overextended. Is that a space advantage, or are you just overextended? That'd be funny to say that to someone over the board. But that's the issue. Is this an advantage or a weakness? The pawn on e4. If the pawn is a tusk, that's because the other tusk got cut off by animal pirates. This elephant has just one tusk. It's not looking good. Where's the other tusk? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Alright. It's a one tusk kind of line. Knight c3 just developing a piece. Nothing wrong with that. Putting pressure on the tusk. Bishop f5. Now let me ask you a question. Why bishop f5? It averts bishop g5. Knight f6 is more natural, but it would just get pinned by bishop g5, I guess. The more natural move. Bishop g5. Harriet Hunt versus Jonathan Parker. Wow, another GM. Or future GM at that time. Played the elephant. Whatever happened to Harriet? She was a strong women's player. Probably still plays. Haven't seen that name in a long time. Bishop g5. Oh, we should mention this, right? Bishop e5. Is this a problem? Giving up our bishop? Take. Knight takes. Wow. Grandmaster Florian Jenny lost. I don't know if he was a GM back in 2007, but he lost with king takes d1 and an ending. I don't think I'm really down with king takes d1. I don't know. Knight takes d1. Attack the pawn. Defend the pawn. Knight e7. Threatening the pawn again. Bishop e5. Threatening the pawn or not. Knight c3. Bishop f5. Castle's queenside. Rook a d8. And then an interesting move. White just took here. And you got to ask yourself, how does White lose this position? But apparently our answer is coming up here. Rook d4. Bishop takes c6. Knight takes c6. Weird. Well, anyway, I don't know, man. I mean, this is sort of a stupid game. Whatever. That has to be considered. Bishop f5. I would be concerned about g4, honestly. What do you think, man? Yabatis, it's your game. This is like the wild boar against the elephant. Maybe there's a pack of wild boars, actually. How do a pack of wild boars do against an elephant? If g4 with a wild boar counter tusk, I'd be a little concerned about that. Here you have bishop e5. Oof. The wild boar just gets dismantled. Dropping the pawn here. Pawn f5. No, it's not so clear, actually. This is not so clear. It's interesting. Stefan Bucher, German player who's famous for weird openings. Has a gamer's opponent played this? Oh my god. That doesn't feel right. I still think you should play knight f6 though. So what happens here? Knight f6, bishop g5, then bishop f5, or you can just say whatever. Even h6 takes. What is this? This doesn't make sense, does it? You take with the pawn. Ugh. Black structure is ugly. Knight f6, bishop g5. So Jonathan Parker played this, allowing delayed counter tusk with g4. But Harriet didn't go with that. She was straight up principal. Bishop c4 castles, castles. h6 from Jonathan Parker, bishop f6, queen f6, bishop d5, going for the pawn. Dude, knight c6, knight c6, bc6, bishop e4, bishop e4, bishop h2, check, and the game ended in a draw in 1994. Somebody's been drinking too many beers with Mark Hebden. Is the obvious justification behind that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like f5. Queen e2, a novelty. So castling queenside is on the table now. Quick castling queenside. Obvious major disadvantage here. We're not, going to be developing that bishop. There's also queen b5 check, which is probably kind of a risky move. But it's definitely something you need to think about. So this is kind of weird. Double attack here, attack here. It looks pretty good. Wow, we transposed to a Skachkov game. So this is why this guy plays it. He's a grandmaster, but he was like playing this since he was 2200. He couldn't stop playing it. It's his favorite opening. It's like Mark Esterman with the... He's not a grandmaster, obviously, but people that can't stop playing bad openings from their childhood. Queen b5 check literally happened in a Malakhov game, who's a great player, by the way. I know, I think your friend, Trans Girl Chess, was taking lessons with Malakhov, WJ Loof. I mean, he's a really, really good player. Very controlled, pro style. Huge favorite here. Queen b5 check. Knight on bd7. And now just smacked in with knight takes f7. Ouch. That's just like a 2200 smackdown. She still does c71. Yeah, the guy's a great player. Very systematic. Knight f7. Yeah. This is just over. So this is a problem. How do we meet this queen b5 check? The more I look at it, I think that we're going to have to check with the oracle, but I think that you're in trouble, man. Bishop f5 doesn't look playable. This has become a theoretical investigation. While even the other guy's move is like really strong, apparently. The original move, queen h5. What did he do? Queen h5, g6, queen e2, by the way? So he played it in delayed version. He induced g6 and then did queen e2. Malakhov didn't think of that. He's not really up on his elephant gambit, but this guy was like Mr. Accuracy in 1986, inducing g6 and then going back to e2. Wow. So bishop f5 is refuted. Think the mosquitoes want you to rename the 4 a.m. variation to the mosquito defense. I think there's already a mosquito defense, first of all, and it's the 3 a.m. variation. They want me to rename the variation to the 4 a.m. because that's when I'm killing the mosquitoes under my desk at like 4 a.m. That's why I'm freaking sleep deprived every night for the last week. I haven't had one night in the last 6 days where a stupid mosquito didn't bite me between the hours of like 3 o'clock and 6. I'm hunting around, crawling around on the floor of my bedroom, like trying to like hunt down mosquitoes. There has to be some secret entrance. There's like a little tiny crack to the lower floor, maybe, where they're coming up secretly or something. Because there's no way they're... I don't know where they're coming from. You know, it's like impossible. They don't just like get teleported by, you know, the Enterprise or something. There's no way they can get in through this mosquito net. But this is important. Bishop f5 is wrong. So what do you have to do? You have to take. You have to take. But knight f6 is playable. All right. Anyway, we gotta go, guys. We gotta keep moving. 45 minutes left. You're a big math nerd. You kind of want to meet him. Oh, he's on the physics board at the University in St. Petersburg. Wow. So he's more than just a chess player. No wonder. He's so systematic. You know, the guy's got this extremely, like, I would call him almost like computer-like style. Not that many people play like that. Geary, kind of. You know, but you see it in his style of play. Very clear style with Malkov, you know. That's not something you see every day. You notice, it's very noticeable. Alright, this is bad. Queen e2. And then, you know, so you're walking into the queen b5 check, but the guy doesn't play it. So now castle. What? There's a game. It's like the Ukrainian Junior Championship 1995. Unbelievable. Well, actually, I don't think Alex was a junior in 95. So this is right before Alex Strapunski immigrated to the United States. I played him in the Marshall Chess Club in 1998 or 99. So this must have been like the year before Strapunski immigrated. He actually played the... Yeah, he played the wild pig attack with g4 here. Your opponent just wasn't up to the task. Your opponent was a materialistic Scrooge. You know, there are people on this planet who would have played g takes f here. And I think that I respect their creativity. But it's also a question of whether it's a matter of materialism or creativity. We have to consider this move. By the way, I hate bishop takes f6. You know, Strapunski's move is like way more dynamic, keeping the tension. Castle's queenside. You know, what's the first move you play in this position? Any normal player would answer Castle's queenside. What other move is there? Or are you stupid or something? But Strapunski instead played more aggressively with g4. But your guys move this. Okay, best case scenario, we're going to win the pawn on e4. But then what happens? Like, bishop f6, queen f6, knight e4, bishop e4, queen e4, knight c6. White has, like, no development. It's really dodgy. Dodgy tactics. Knight c6. This is interesting. Horrifying from a strategic standpoint, of course. Knight c4. This is weak. I got an important message. Just one moment. What is happening with Viber? I got a vibe. Some weird numbers. What is that? I've got some kind of weird coded message that I don't understand. G takes F. The ugly structure with knight c4. But I guess you could play this way, you know. Maybe even like bishop b4. Because if castle's queenside, then, you know, his kingside, or his king position is a little sketch. This is not so stupid, actually. Maybe g4. We don't want the g file to open up. That's really, really dangerous. So I think here, here, here. You know, seriously, I wouldn't be surprised GF is playable. The engine doesn't like it. What's the problem, man? Queen d2 or castle's queenside. Wow. So computer thinks that white is just like winning here. Almost winning. The king is safe enough is the consensus from the engine. No doubt, like, Yabatis' move is safer. Queen takes. I'm concerned about this pawn. Take, take, take. And now, unfortunately, oh, do you have, like, bishop e5, pawn e5, rook e8? You played knight c6. But I really thought you were going to do something crazy like this and this or something. You could probably hold this ending. You got a lot of options here. Wow, c5 is the best move. And white should be winning. So you had to find some kind of quiet move now. Not giving up your bishop. See, that's where the engine is so strong. It's not biased. You know, it doesn't panic. It just plays the best move. You have so many options here. Not giving up your bishop. Ultimately, that knight can be taken out. That knight can be taken out, but you don't have to take them out right away. So this was a mistake, and now white's winning. And now I thought he could just take it, but I was wrong. Well, he can. I mean, rook e8, knight e5, bishop e5, and resign. I guess. That's your trick. Nice trick. f4 is kind of unpleasant. Oof. We got another oof. You gotta go. We'll see you later, WJ Loof. Down to 2%. I'll check mine. Yeah, f4 looks good. Knight c6, castles. Nice. And that's good enough to at least equalize. You know, so here we have lots of moves. I mean, even queen d8. Black is in no danger. Bishop d3 with the Asser mate is an option. No, queen d8, knight f8. That doesn't work. What's happening here? We have to play queen f4 check. Queen g5 check. Okay, queen g5 check. This is best. King b1. Attack the knight. This is hanging. Pawn on b7. But it's a little dodgy. Dodgy tactics. The b file could be dangerous. And now queen f5, double attack. I was looking at knight takes c2, but that just doesn't threaten anything. This is much better. So d4 is hanging. And then it's basically an endgame. Where it doesn't look like black has quite enough compensation. But practically speaking, black still has very good chances. That's kind of an oof. It's just a game. And he dropped a piece. That's awkward. White played rook d1, missing that this is a threat. Is there any move here for white? Like bishop d3? Bishop d3, queen d3, queen b8. Are you serious? Yeah, it's just lost. Queen f5. Yeah. Queen takes wins. Yeah, here we're just down a piece. Check, take, and take. So it looks like you just won a piece. Yeah, it's game over. Okay. Anyway, it was an elephant gambit. It is what it is. It wasn't pretty, but you got the job done with a little help from your opponent. Now dropping the A pawn, not really good technique. Don't want to lose that A pawn necessarily. White now, I mean, has some practical chances. I would be pretty concerned about this. That we might not have enough to win after that last pawn. However, the way it shakes out now, suddenly black has mating threats. You know, I think these two pawns, you know, the A pawn in particular, give white practical chances. But he has to stay active. I'm not sure this is good enough. Here, greedy, take, rook f1. So what's up here? Maybe it's a win, maybe it's a draw. It's a win according to the engine. Yep. Eventually, you should win. You have attacking threats. Snacked his pawns. You have enough pawns. This is like my tournament game. Zugzwang is a thing. Yep, it's over. You should have tried like b4 or something. Alright guys, we got 3 games left. We have half an hour, 3 games left to do. Move 11, Sean and Scared, Mickey versus Scared Knight. That was the game that pushed you to your record rating. The Mosquito Gambit. This is move 11, Mosquito Gambit. Alright. So move 11 playing white. What is this? A Caro French. It's the Caro French. Very, very popular opening. It's the Caro, it's the French, and it's the Pierce too. So you've got all 3 covered with c6, d6, and e6. Don't believe the hype that this is the Caro. It's the Caro French Pierce. Play as many openings as you can, like, simultaneously. Okay, so I mean, I think if I was approaching this as a queen pawn player, I would just play c4. You know, objectively, maybe that's white's best move. I mean, you certainly can't go wrong with knight c3. Schieberspieler would probably play like c3 here. But that's like a bit much, honestly. I suppose like a4 is always a good move, gaining space on the queen side. You can't really go wrong with that. Okay, c4 is good, but move 11 is putting himself... This was actually played. Move 11 is putting himself in, you know, what I would call a queen pawn position. And you've got to consider Erno Garabin. That was a famous player. Hungarian master. Oh, he played that famous game against the... He was the player who lost a famous game that we did on a Wednesday. Masturbate might remember. Against Rudolf Spielmann. There was this question about Ernst Grunfeld and Erno Garabin possibly being confused in the database. No, he was Hungarian. I would think. That was a good year. So c4, bishop e7, knight c3. Pretty awful opening. Knight f6. It's hard to believe this has been played by somebody. It's like the old Indian in reserve or something. He's playing an old Indian with his pawn on e6. This is like typical stuff you see on online chess sites. a6 and now b6 followed by g6 and h6. It's not that stupid. Alright. a4, move 11, really kind of weakening her queen side there. Restricting the old a5 or b5. Yeah, it's tricky to play these old Indian type structures though. I don't know, you know. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times I don't want to play a4. If you play a4, they play a5 and it's like fixed. You might want to consider just playing something quiet like bishop b2 and meeting b5 with Tazakes. Seriously, the Tazake b4 b4 stop move. Playing against old Indian a6b b5 c6 type of structures is tricky. You know, I mean this is actually maybe a safer way to deal with it. a4 is very committal. I'm kind of surprised that black doesn't play either b6 or a5 here. So he plays this. Obviously with the pawn on e5, you'd have a normal position. Both sides just ignoring what's happening. I mean, move 11 should seriously consider a5 when he doesn't play a5. I don't think that this can be bad. Walter Brown would probably play b4. We had a game in the King's Indian like this. I mean, this pawn might be weak, though. But these moves are more fluid, you know, like b4, a5. Too late for a5 now. You missed your window opportunity. Move 11 goes for the dubious e5. How are you holding that pawn? Ask a stupid question, get an obvious answer. Alright, e5, take, knight g4, bishop f4. There's your answer. Is the pawn overextended, or is it a strength? You're going to meet like queen c7? You know this old Indian player like lives for this, trying to pick off a central pawn when you overextended yourself. This is the very old Indian. It's so old that no one even knows what it's called anymore. Alright. But I mean, seriously, why doesn't the guy play queen c7? As if there's like another option here. He's got to at least attack your pawn. That forces you to play queen d4, which is kind of awkward. This is pretty awkward, man. I mean, what the heck? Rook d8? Threatening knight c5 or not? I'm confused. Probably not. You're probably not actually... He's threatening trapping your queen with knight c5. Oh, c5 is even good. So c5 is even good. c5 forces queen e4 and then bishop e7 and you're forced away and he just like, eats the pawn on e5. And you're just down the pawn. Congratulations. Nice job. Well, I mean, you may have just simply played e5 prematurely. There are tons of moves, but, you know, I think earlier a5, this is okay. You can't go wrong with h3. The guy's literally got to play e5 now. I mean, if you played h3, he plays e5, you push, and you just have a big space advantage. So anyway. That's insane. So he's like wrecked now. His position is like destroyed. This is the mosquito. This is the 3 a.m. defense. This is like the 6 a.m. maybe. And I still couldn't get to sleep. This is ugly for black, but okay. He can meet direct attacks with bishop g5, I guess. Looks bad. Knight e4 is possible, but you don't want to trade queens. So how do we lock this down without necessarily allowing him to simplify too much? H7 looks weak too, but we just don't want to trade queens. That's like the single most important thing here. I think this is interesting. Queen c2, ironically. I don't see the benefit really that we derive from this. But actually maybe it has some benefit. Maybe we draw him out there and then play queen c2. Now this is weaker. He probably plays c5. You like taking on g5? This is some computer style shit, but I don't like this. That looks kind of random. I feel like we're losing control of the situation. We're fixing his pawn structure. There's no way I'm doing that. Bishop g5, his bishop's on a crazy square. We could just go here. We're threatening queen e4. He has c5 though. Then knight e4. Now bishop f4. This pawn is still problematic. Your knight is hanging. But I mean, probably something like rook d1, and you're in business. He's screwed here. It's plus 2.3. Black saves the game with f5. Are you serious? f5? Okay then. Anyway, I've seen enough. This looks very strong. No, there's no way I'm taking that. You know, we just induce bishop g5, then go here. Now we're threatening queen e4, knight e4, all kinds of 4. He can't even play knight c5 because you're like b4 or whatever. Bye-bye. The guy's totally dead. So take knight e4. The problem with this is what? c5. Forces our hand immediately. See, that's an issue. You know, any exchange is a good exchange for this guy in this cramped position. Now you went knight d6. But it's already like, I would be a little nervous. You got to play maybe something just defending e4. He's got queen c7 next. So we've got a problem. We've got a problem already. You might be able to play maybe knight g3. But I mean, I'm thinking you're going to lose this pawn on e5 soon. So you definitely misplayed it. He's got to take. You got to take. Is it possible you're still better here? Yes. But I still don't think you played the optimal way. Well, this is kind of awkward. His knight has no squares. That is a big problem. So what the heck does he do now? He just doesn't care? Wow. He's literally going to play like what? That's sad. Now you're totally winning. So maybe you were winning all along. I mean, king g7 is atrocious. He had knight b8. Knight b8 is great. Feeds me chocolate cake. You got to get out of the pin. You know, it's ugly, but heck. Heck. We're still alive, Mom and Dad. Yeah, I mean, king g7 is like brain dead. I mean, you're in a very critical spot and you have no move and you play king g7. I'll just pretend there's no problem, you know, while making a totally random move. Yeah, that's over. Poor guy. He's playing for the win? What did you do? Repeat moves? And he's playing for a win now? Queen b6? I'm the luckiest player in the world? No, you're going to win after queen d2. He's gone here. Isn't he gone here? Goners. Rook g8 only move? Rook g8 is like literally probably the only move. He's still alive after rook g8. Let's see. Apparently not. Wow. Alright. So you're totally winning. You're totally winning. Okay, it's not surprising. Move 11 with the d4 game. Yeah, you definitely don't want to trade queens, though. What? 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 So you're threatening bishop d3. That's a big issue. But he's got f5. So you could have played, you know, he could have played rook g8, then bishop d3, then f5 or f6. Is still alive? Man. Yeah, you could mess this up, man, in a blitz game for sure. It's not that easy. This is a freaking disaster. There's no way he should be this close to hanging on. Ben Feingold. Favorite move. You're actually threatening what? Nothing. Totally random. Centralizing the king for the endgame. I was telling people, centralize your king when there's like less than two or less heavy pieces on the board. Move 11's like doing it when there's like 6 heavy pieces on the board. There was no quick mates, right? Knight takes e5. What move are you on? Where was move 95? What? Move 25? It's mate in 1. Oh, that's too easy, man. Move 11. We both missed it. I just took him for his word. Yeah, I don't think I would have played 95, to be honest. Dodgy tactics. I mean, that's a little dodgier than I like to go. I was already looking at rook g8. I mean, that was the entire point. I didn't even consider 95. I just believed it when I saw it, whatever. Okay, 95. Clearly rook g8. White's still winning. It's mate in 1. Thanks for pointing that out. Move 11 likes to do things the hard way. Let's make an effort out of this. Black was actually okay now. I mean, even king f2 seems kind of odd. It's like centralizing for the endgame. Dude, there's 6 heavy pieces on the board. It said he wants to play h1. He wants to quadruple attack. He wants to quadruple attack h7. This is not because he's centralizing his king. And he didn't do it. Then he does it next move. So rook takes f5. How does that work? It's a high quality game. We always get the highest quality games submitted here. Rook takes f5. I'm not getting it. No, I mean, queen c8 doesn't do anything. Just play rook f8. Okay. On to the next game. It's mate in 4 now. He could have played rook takes f5. It was high quality. Nobody screened this one. But that's kind of awkward. Alright, we're down to the last games. Sean, we have 20 minutes left. Move 11 only submits his highest quality games to the stream. He keeps all the bad ones for himself. e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4. So this is Sean. Sean is black. Let's flip it up. Okay. Delayed Mora Gambit. So I think here, like, we should seriously consider knight f6 rather than just taking the pawn. You can't just like play the Mora Gambit whenever you want to. You know, it's not okay. Like the other day, I had this against someone on sound. He did this against me: e4, c5, bishop c4, and I played. I don't remember. Knight. What did I play? E6, and he played d4, and then played c3. But this is not okay. You can't just like play any move order you want and it's okay. You know, I could have played knight f6, and on e5 I have queen c7. Queen e2, and maybe d5. But anyway, there's a reason why the move orders are the order they are. Like, this particular move order gives black an opportunity here after c3 to play knight f6 and attack that pawn on f6 with knight f6. I just, imagine this is probably black's best move. Seems like an excellent Mora. What, that? I don't think so. That was not an excellent Mora. That was like a pawn down. The last one, what I just showed you, this position, this is not excellent. I mean, white's got a serious problem here. This is a pin, Check. Knight d7. The e5 pawn is under attack. No, I think it's like, if you show this to a strong French defense player, they're just going to be like, white is just like down a pawn for nothing. Okay, that was ironic. Well, Dodgy Tactics, believe me, there are people who watch my stream who would really believe what you just said. You're a Sicilian player, so I appreciate it, but I don't want to be, accidentally disseminating like misinformation. The Mora Gambit's not great, but if you play it perfectly, it's probably okay. But you can't just like play anything you want, Knight f6 is a good move here. That's a different position. Okay, this is our game. So black doesn't take advantage here of knight f6. I mean, this is possible, of course, like knight c4, but I mean, this isn't great, for white. White doesn't have enough compensation. Probably he would play like bishop d3, I imagine. So, all right, what do you get? You get a Mora, but your bishop's on the wrong square. So that's the best you can do. You get a Mora where your bishop's on d3 instead of c4. It's a bad version of the right line. All right. Instead, black plays normal move order. Now we've got to be careful because e5 is actually a threat here. Knight c6 is playable, although a lot of people don't think that's true. It's actually okay for black. I've analyzed this. This is not a bad line. You played e6, but a lot of books probably give this as good for white. It's actually not. You just play knight g4, and black is fine. I mean, you can check with the engine. So 0.0 is the best white can get. A supposed trap in the Mora. Even the traps in the Mora are like maximum 0.0. That's the best white can do. Literally, oh, e5 exclamation point. Yes, white equalizes with this move. Congratulations. That's the best you can do. All right. So we got e6. This is an old school variation. It's a little passive. Wow. This is honestly surprising. That didn't happen, but I mean here, yeah, I would just go into the ending. Take. You got to be careful now because of knight b5. This looks dangerous. There are a lot of traps. The Alex Lenderman defense. King e7. Even this is harmless if you know what you're doing. Anyway. This is a bad move. Queen c2. And this is like you need to be admitted to the mental hospital immediately. Can we call the men in the white coats to have you taken away when you play Castles Queenside in the Mora? You've been watching too many Mark Esserman streams and not getting enough sleep. Because that's seriously not normal. I imagine it could work against extremely weak players, but you know, this is the kind of like cheap style of play that's going to crash and burn against good players 100% of the time. This king is just not safe here. So I don't think like immediately, you know, I mean, I'm seeing e5 as a threat. The only good thing about this position for white is that e5 is a threat. And black just ignored it. But I mean, if I go, you know, even just the safe, solid sort of queen c7. But I mean, I'm kind of attracted to this. Is this a problem because of knight b5? Let's just see. Knight b5. Let's just say I castle. You eat my pawn. Now, what's happening here? Homie's king is like sitting in the middle of an open file on the c line. He's not up any material. I got to imagine there's something for black here. I just need to find what it is. There has to be a strong move for black here. Black has to be better here. +2. Ouch. I don't think it's that easy to find it. Knight b4, for example. Both the king and the queen are in the wrong position for a Mora. Yeah, you're hitting here. I thought he had defense with queen b3. Bishop d6, rook d6, and then you snack this, forking his bishop and his rook. This is embarrassing for white. What is white doing? Yeah, okay, knight b4 is not that hard to find. Yeah, I mean, you got to go to the mental institution when you play Castle Queenside in the Mora. Immediately. Now, rook d1, okay, yeah, that's kind of a weird move, but queen c2 is weird, you know, in the first place. But castles allowing e5, I mean, that's white's entire idea. I wouldn't allow white to do that. Queen a5 has to be good. What's wrong with queen a5? It's normally a bad move, but not here. He should play king b1. It's like a cross between the Moscow variation and the Mora. This is crazy for white. No, it works under 2000. Anyways, welcome Delver S. Brown. So this is just a crazy game from Sean. Castles e5. He allows it and still he's okay. So that's how bad it is. Even just like the simple variation is okay. Bishop f4. I think that's a better try. Keeping pieces on the board. Or h4. You don't want to trade pieces when you're playing a Gambit opening. He has a little bit of compensation, but he's screwed with this knight b4 thing. Maybe it's not even worth it to play h6. I'm like tempted to find a way to just give him the h7 pawn for time. No, seriously. You got to at least consider it. You got to consider it. You also have a lever with g5 for white. I would consider sacking that pawn. So like rook d8, bishop takes h7, check, king h8. I know this seems crazy. Maybe I drank too much beer. But I mean, it takes him time to save his bishop. You know, in the meantime, we're like developing all of our pieces on the c line. But it's only enough for equal. Alright. So he does the right thing. It's sad, but we have to defend the pawn. Rook e1, useless. Threatening to cheapo. That doesn't do anything. Knight b4. That looks wrong, probably. No, this is good. Here. Check. King h8. Nice king. How you doing? How you doing there, Mr. King? Now, the other knight is like a vulture on c4. Black just plays bishop d7, rooks to the c and d files, resigns. This is crazy. I wouldn't do g6. This is exceedingly materialistic. On a practical level, I would not play that move. I am very happy with our crushing attack on the queen side. Zero chance of this not like winning for black. After bishop d7, would you rather play g6 and give white some kind of crazy chances, or just play the guaranteed win, bishop d7, and white resigns? I mean, I guess theoretically he has a3. That's the only problem. Okay, I admit this is a minor issue. He does have a3. I think a5 is probably good for black. I'd be willing to bet you this is sound. I bet black is better after a5. Winning. Not just better. +3. Plus 3.5. +5. Forget about it, man. You can't castle queenside. You can't castle queenside in the Mora Gambit. I am not playing g6. This is extremely materialistic. You're risking your king safety when you play g6. It might be winning. I just don't prefer to play that way. Bishop g6, it's the principle of the thing. Yes, this is enough. Take here. Very nice. And it's over. Even Borat could win this. But very nice game by black. For like a 1200. No, Sean's rating is like 1600. He honestly played... He played like he was 2100. Until that move. Oh, it was a deep trap. Wow. Check, here, check, and mate. Nice. So that was like 2500. Last game, guys. Scared Knight, I gotta go. Mickey versus Scared Knight. This is Mickey's submission. I gotta go in 5 minutes. It's a Bishop's Opening, Mickey's White. This is from our Tuesday tournament. Guys, I'm gonna be back tomorrow morning on Friday. Time to go. I got 5 minutes. Bishop c4, Bishop's Opening. Again, Knight f6 best move. d4, I was looking at this yesterday. Black doesn't have a lot of choices here. You have to take on d4. This is against a good player, Scared Knight. Rapid chess. So it's the Urasov Gambit. Very annoying opening. So most people chicken out and play Knight c6. But this is like, you know, gutsy move. Queen takes, and I played this against Morales. This is my novelty. Knight c5. It's actually playable. There are no games in the Opening Explorer. But, you know, you might choose to play this with black to throw someone off. Mickey, you should prepare for that move. Queen d4. Yeah, Knight c5 is interesting. It's playable, and black's probably slightly better, but black can also lose very easily. Knight f6 is main line. I don't think black should play this unless he has a death wish. Maybe objectively, it's better to be a chicken and play Knight c6. Knight takes e4. Queen takes d4. I guess even d5 is a move, right? Theoretically. Knight c3 is some weird move, but I think it's garbage. You mean here? No, I mean here it's normal. This is probably some main line. So we went down the main line. I mean, black's... yeah, I don't want to go here, you know. This has all been analyzed, like, to the point where, like, white has at least a draw in, like, 50 move variations. I don't think this is a good idea. I mean, it's okay for white. You know, you're okay with the pawn on d4. Oh. What? What, like this? I think you're thinking of a different position. You're thinking of some Jonathan Schrantz crap? Yeah, there's some stupid gambit like that. Someone on sound played it against me. But, yeah, no. I mean, objectively, like, I'm not going to play this. I'm going to play Knight c6. And transpose to the crap. Although there is, like, this move, for example. This would kind of shut white down. I think this, like, forces a draw or something. Probably. If you're black and you're playing against Mickey and you're lower rated, Like d5 probably kills it. It becomes like trading pieces. Knight f6. Okay. Anyway, this is fun. Queen h4 here. It's all been played. And that's like a psycho passive move. Actually, Scared Knight plays aggressive chess, so he might know this, but yeah, black's already in trouble. Knight e8's the best move there. So he's not supposed to castle. By the way, knight c6 not good, is it? This is a problem here. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's not play knight c6, actually. I'm going back in my deep memories, but I think black has c6 here. I have an old book that was ghostwritten by Tot Bela. Well, Farintosh and someone else stole his analysis and published a book, and on the Petrov, and this variation is in there. But it looks like c6 is good. This looks like the best plan. Because you don't put knight c6, you play d5, try to shut down the bishop on d3. I actually do the same thing in the knight c5 variation. The plan is to play like c6 and d5. I think that's better. So here the problem is, yeah, black's not happy. It's all been analyzed already. Yeah, he just gets smoked. Soltigo, the former mod on my stream, used to play this stuff. You can analyze this to the point where you like can force a win, you know the whole game before it's over. Yeah, it's easy to analyze this out. Guys, I gotta go. Thanks. Good game, Mickey. Very impressive. But be prepared for knight c5 and that better c6 variation. I think that's going to be more critical. Passive master not, man. Just that one game. I was joking. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I gotta run. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for the support, guys, for subscribing and donating. I will see everybody tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. CST. Bye-bye.